Wonderful. I think we can have a little bit of a discussion on what you presented. First of all, I must just admit that I think that this was four incredible examples of what I mean when I say corporate-ready companies. That's exactly what we try to specialize on at things, and because we've discovered that's really what the corporates want. They want companies who can actually scale with them, not only do a small proof of concept somewhere. So I'm really glad to have you all here. I have a question now for you in general. So already since we started with IoT 10, 12 years ago, there were all those great examples how cities should be changed and improved, changing lamps to LED lamps and all that. And it's always been an issue of how to finance those things. Do you find issues when you are dealing and approaching with cities? That has to do with, yes, we would love to, but we can't afford, or we don't have, we can't finance the thing. Is that anything you run into? Jonathan, do they have a lot of old phones in their cities so they can use it for your...
So it's actually it's a really nice story though, actually, because we can deploy on some older phones now. We have to make some trades, of course, but you can do exactly that. You can open up your drawer and find old phones down in the back and make use of them again. So that is quite good. I suppose, there is always a need to find your way through the halls of power to understand where the pots of money are and that kind of thing. But I think the key to it is also just to be clear about what it is that you are offering. It's not just tech. What kind of problem are you solving, and in what context or quantity are you solving? How many? Trying to truly understand the road engineer's problem space and understand the costs and time that he takes going to do this, and the impact on the lives of people of Stockholm or other cities, and demonstrate how by using this technology you're going to save so much time. You're going to give these people superpowers. They no longer have to go out and sort of plod the streets and look for these things. It's all just going to come to them. And if you can be clear about that saving and be clear about the fact that you're doing this with some pretty cool tech, actually. But it's becoming more and more clear that there's a strong willingness to do this, and so actually that's promising. But of course, being public sector, there's always hurdles you have to get through. There's ways in which the public sector is required to buy things. It's longer, it takes more time, it's fraught with a bit more risk. But the quid pro quo is that once you get through the door, actually, they can be quite sticky customers. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true, and in all your cases, I guess the investments are not gigantic compared to if you have to build new roads or bridges. So that's easier. But the other question would be, they are aware in general about their problems, I guess, but are they aware of what solutions there are available? Because there's so many cities in the world, and you are all very good and very promising companies with, from many people, a lot of employees as well, maybe 100 or 35, but how should we help these solutions reach kind of all the cities, because we are in a hurry as well? Anything for that? Sabrina, is that something you think about when you wake up in the morning?
Think about how am I going to take it abroad? Kind of one way we try to get into things is we'll apply to things that maybe don't necessarily fit what they would want right away. Like with, say, I applied earlier today for an aviation project. We haven't done any aviation projects in the past, and maybe they don't really know that spatiotemporal big data can fix it, but by putting it out there in these sort of like applications and competitions, they can be recognizing to this. Maybe they won't take it this time because they were looking for something else, but now you've planted the seed, Yeah.
So Adrian, what about you? What do you think? How easy is it to kind of get people to start to ask for your services compared to having to put the foot in the door?
Well, I'd say that it's fundamentally much easier if you're solving someone's problem rather than coming with a solution and trying to find the problem. So that's typically how we try to engage with it. I think Sabrina mentioned about sort of open innovation type programs. They tend to be a very good way to qualify a problem and come in with a solution rather than the other way around. We have the benefit in that there has been a lot of hype and interest into trying out different AI techniques. And a lot of companies either don't have big data or they have big data assets, but they're not very well structured. So they try a deep learning based approach and they get pretty bad results. So they're a bit burned, and then we can come in and say, hey, we specialize in small data, and that becomes very attractive. That becomes something that they want to test out. So in that sense, it helps. I just had one comment on the cities and sort of getting funding. I feel that a lot of the customers that we've seen across the slides in all of the presentations have employee headcounts that are larger than some European countries. So getting money out of a big company isn't always the easiest either. It's a long cycle. It's the same budgetary things. It's those same planning. It's the same 18 months lead time. So if you're in the B2B space, if it's a government you're selling to or another big corporate, it's not a huge difference. You just have to have the patience.
Yeah. Jonas, what about the water management systems and stuff? I know how well you're doing with several of them in Sweden, but you know, this is a tiny little country in the outskirts of nowhere. So, man, should there be a gimmick in every single country trying to fight this game? That sounds like a strange approach. So how could you be helped to get out there to other countries and scale out and so forth? I mean, that it seems to be, for the planet point of view or the city's point of view, it seems to be a pretty easy way to change things compared to a lot of other options we have.
Yeah, very good question. And we have started to, actually we have discussions with two partners. I can't say the name, of course, it's not ready yet, but they are both in a international, or one of them is more Europe and the other one is more global. So I think that will be our way out. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm almost sure that we will have our first customer outside Sweden before Christmas.
Okay. Well, that sounds promising. At least
yeah.
To start.
The first one.
I'm a country boy. I'm grown up in the country and I love the countryside. And I'm nervous that the only places where people want to put technology they're aiming at is cities. We talk about urban mobility and all of that. What about rural mobility and rural technology? Do you run into any kind of smaller cities or villages or clusters of villages, or do you have any kind of experience with that, or do we just leave them behind? Is that the approach? Sabrina?
Definitely don't leave them behind. Oh my God, imagine. Well, for the case for us, I don't know if this would necessarily be the countryside, but we have done some smart farm projects. So for the countryside that happens to do farming, that's the case. And we've also done a forest related projects. So if you're in that kind of part of the countryside, that's also good. And I think road related things are going to very easily go into the suburbs. So I don't think it's going to end up getting behind as it sounds.
Any other views? Jonathan, your solution should scale nicely into
Yeah, absolutely. No, we don't care how big the city is, for sure. It's if you have a smaller, we work with Helsingborg in the south, we're working with Vallentuna just outside Stockholm. So, you know, these are smaller entities, but we also work with Stockholm and nationwide as well.
A final question before I leave all of you. Well, Adrian, you have a hand up in the air.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I recently relocated from Osaka, from the very big city, to the countryside. So I live in the Japanese coastal countryside. And we just got a grant from the local government for this region. It's a city of, let's say, 20,000 people, to do the type of AI-enabled ground penetrating radar analysis for them. So I think it really depends on what the appetite is, but here they're asking for it. Here they're pushing for it themselves. They have a willingness to buy the services on the same level that the big city is. I didn't move here just because we have business here, but it definitely helps.
Yeah. Well, that's really promising. I know, actually, I think we have some people in the public who represent more like countryside. So I think that's good for them to take with them home. Guys, we are in the middle of COP26. Are you important in the change of, you know, how we take care of the planet, or are you playing peripheral roles? I happen to believe that you play a very central role, and we just have to make sure that each of you, not only you, the four of you, but everyone in this field should be getting a lot of help to scale out and scale away and go to other countries and all of that, because this is really part of the solution, if you ask me. So is that kind of something you run into, people talking about that or see you like that, or is this only on TV?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I think that is always becoming more. I think people want to save the time and they want to save the money and they want to be safer, but the environmental impact that you can have to improve the operations of the city is becoming more and more the sort of guiding light, the UN global goals, and making sure that actually this all making the planet in a better way. And so that's very much in our sort of marketing spiel about how we can do this without any extra vehicles. And also then when you start to talk about, I was saying to you before about quantifying the problems you're solving. I mean, that parking problem that we talked to you about in the presentation, the tonnage of CO2 that's produced by vehicles driving around looking for these cars. I mean, you only have to do some simple maths to show that if you can just reduce that by a small percentage across at a planet scale, then actually that's going to be a really big impact. So no, very much front and center of what we do.
Adrian, you still have your hand up. I don't know if you forgot that or if it's up again.
No, it stay there, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you want to talk about sustainable approaches to machine learning, sparse modeling is your best answer, but it's not suitable for all the use cases. Again, the people presenting are going after different use cases where sparse modeling wouldn't work at all. So I have full respect for the work you guys are doing, but for certain things, when you can apply sparse modeling, you do save a ton of energy, which means a lot of less usage of emissions. So absolutely. But I should take down my hand. That was not intentional.
Well, that's fine, because we're going to stop now, so you can have the hand for the entire
There you go.
day.
No word.
Guys, thank you so much. I love people like you, and you are all incredible companies, and you know, I'm so happy you share some time and share your insight to people in our network around the world. So really, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you to the audience to bear with us. We keep on doing those things until nobody shows up. So, and there will be another one in 2 weeks, as always. Thank you so much, and have a really good day or night, depending on where you are.